in Philadelphia, Sunday afternoon on Fox. Jalen practiced yesterday, and Jordan Mailata told Christian DeFranco of the Delaware County Daily Times that Jalen Hurts had a, quote, phenomenal practice.
Wow. Yeah, okay.
Phenomenal. Do you think Philly deserves to be almost 5-point favorites?
No. They should be 3-point favorites. I think Green Bay is going to win this game. But Philly, look, regardless of what the reports were about yesterday, Jalen Hurts hasn't played in a month. And I would think, he's not a great passer when he's in rhythm. And so, as far as, over the course of a season. So I think he's going to be rusty. And Green Bay's playing with house money. Nobody expects them to win. They're still the youngest team in the playoffs, youngest team in the league. So they're coming out there free. And A.J. Brown, is he going to be chirping? We talked about this yesterday. Is he going to be chirping to Jalen to get him the ball? So I just think that Green Bay, I feel good about their chances of winning this. And I feel like all the pressure is on Philadelphia because they are S-Bob. And they better win this game or they could have a new coach.
See, I disagree that they're playing with house money now. As soon as you pay your quarterback what you paid your quarterback, it stops being house money. That comes with expectations, and you better perform. I'm fine with the line where it is. Philly was 8-1 at home. When you look at it, Nick Sirianni's undefeated after a bye, and really last week was a bye. So they have that benefit as well. And then going into this, Philly's won 3 in a row, and then Green Bay's lost. They don't have the momentum. Green Bay doesn't have the momentum like they had last year, and I think collectively Philly is a much, not a much sounder team, but a sound enough team comparatively to merit the extra point that you normally get for a home playoff.
Yeah, I do not in podcast form like Simmons and Sal do, but every week on my own, should I tell? Okay, yeah, that's fine. The things Bill Simmons and Cousin Sal do where they guess the lines, I do that same thing, except my youngest daughter, Deanna, tells me the games and reads me the lines. Kind of teach her about gambling early. I think it's a good family trait.
It's totally different than what Bill and Sal do.
But the reason I'm saying it is I was off by 3 points on this. I thought it'd be Philly by 7.5.
Oh, 7.5?
And when I saw that it was 4.5, I'm like, oh, they're really worried Jalen's not going to play. And that they're kind of, setting it in the middle to where if he doesn't play, it'll be down to, 1.5 or 2. And if he does, it'll be up. And it's just stayed there. So I'm shocked by it. I think Philly's better across the board. They're at home. The Packers just lost a game to the Bears they wanted to win.
Yeah.
Their quarterback was out for half the game, too.
I understand that piece of it, but they also, they were playing. Philly's quarterback was out this past week.
And when they played Washington, they lost.
And so I just think Philly's a better team that's at home. And where I disagree with Brew on the house money piece of it is, Green Bay, this would be a step back. Green Bay was the 7th seed last year and blew a team out in round one.
And an expensive step back.
The step back has been.
They brought in free agents.
Yeah, the regular season was a step back.
Okay, well, let's keep it on Philly. Let's not talk about. We'll separate this and talk about the Packers later. But I just want to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. Because it wouldn't necessarily be a step back for the Packers because the Packers are playing a better team. It's just an unfortunate circumstance for the Packers that, one, they're banged up, and 2, they're going up against a better team, the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles this year are a better team than the Dallas Cowboys last year. That's the reality. The Dallas Cowboys were fool's gold. The Philadelphia Eagles are real gold. Sorry, I don't make the rules. I just repeat the facts as they are. I think, again, I don't get too much. I don't get too wrapped up in the whole favorites and should it be 4.5 or 6.5? Like, that stuff is meaningless to me. It really, really is. But, Brew saying that it should just be the 3. No, especially because the Packers are injured. The Packers are not 100%. The Eagles should be favored either way, obviously. But now when you start to add injuries for the Packers, well, then of course that gap should be more. And I think that is the problem with Jalen Hurts, probably why it's not bigger, because Jalen Hurts, one, has not played. So not only were they not sure whether or not he was going to play, so now they're going to have, the points based off of that. But now they're also factoring in, okay, he is playing, but he hasn't played in a while. And that is a real thing. That's not to say that I think that he's going to be so rusty and he's going to be like, which way do I hold the football? I forget. I dribble it. It's not going to be like that. but it still is technically a factor that when you're trying to mathematically figure out, what should the spread be, like those are all variables. Those are all variables, and it's too analytical and too mathematical. Why I don't get wrapped up into 4.5, 6.5, 8.5. Like it's just math at that point. It really is. It's just math. And I do think that the Packers, because of Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur, they do have that puncher's chance to upset a team like the Philadelphia Eagles. And again, then that's why there's too much to unpack with Jordan Love and talking about house money and this or that with the Packers to sandwich this all in. Because the question was, does Philly deserve to be 4.5-point favorites? And then to now unpack that and then try to just quickly transition into the Green Bay Packers and what do they need to do? That's too much. That's too many cooks in the kitchen. I don't want to make a 45-minute video here. But I also do find it funny. It's like, oh, Hurts reportedly looked sharp in practice. Like, what do you think they were going to say? Ooh, Jalen Hurts looked really rough in practice. He looked a little confused. He actually wasn't sure which way you hold the football. What are they going to say? Like, any of the sound bites leading into the playoffs, or really any game for that matter, but especially the playoffs, are always comically, hilariously absurd. They really are. So I don't really pay any attention to them whatsoever, and they hold exactly zero weight. I'm not like, oh, did you hear about Jalen Hurts? He looked really sharp in practice. Oh, that's good. I was concerned. I wasn't sure how he'd look, but it's been reported that he looked sharp. And it's like, okay, sure. But the reality is that the Eagles are too stacked of a team. If they lose this game, yes, it would be devastating. Absolutely undeniable. And I think Sirianni would be fired like almost immediately. Not even almost immediately. Immediately. If anything, they already have the letter drafted. And they would just get ready to post it. To, say, we thank Coach Sirianni for his service for the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to take a different direction. And then they would immediately be aggressive and go after like a Ben Johnson or, whoever. Immediately. Whether you think it's fair or not. That's not what the point of this video is. We've already talked about Nick Sirianni in so many different ways. I've defended him. I've praised him. I've criticized him. I've done everything. So whether we want to don't turn this video, this conversation in the comments below into Sirianni shouldn't be fired. He won't be fired. That's not the point. That's really not the point. But that is how devastating I think a loss would be. Because of course the Philadelphia Eagles should win this game. Of course the pressure is on them to win this game. There's pressure on them to win the Super Bowl. So getting knocked out, like with the Cowboys, I never thought they had any chance at winning the Super Bowl. I thought they had zero chance at even making the Super Bowl. I think it was a rough path just to get to the NFC Championship game. So that's why them losing and getting rocked by the Packers, that was a whole different storyline. With the Eagles, there's actual legitimate, true, bona fide expectations, and for good reason. Not just hopes and dreams of trying to boost up the Dallas Cowboys fan base, but like actual good reason for the Philadelphia Eagles to actually win the Super Bowl this year, or at the minimum, get to the Super Bowl this year. So that's how high, that's what you're looking at with the Eagles. So yeah, it's just one of those things that with the Philadelphia Eagles, again, you're going up against the Packers, you're at home, under perfect circumstances, you should be favored to win this game convincingly, easily, going up against the hobbled Packers. But with that said, it's the playoffs. Jalen Hurts hasn't played. He's in concussion protocol. You're unsure if he's even if he is playing. I know it seemed that he's going to play, but you still technically don't know. Technically don't. So that's why you kind of get this conversation. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Philadelphia Eagles? Do you think they deserve to be 4.5-point favorites? Do you think it's too high, too low? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.